Start your host for today. So today we have Ms. Sakshi Bhargav. She will be taking us through image captioning uh, session. Hope all of you are keeping well and safe and sound. So this session is being recorded, so it will be made live on our YouTube channel. I'll be sharing the link for in the chat section and question or chat panel in some time. And I suggest you can keep your questions coming so that we can answer all of them towards the end, unless they are slide critical when we will try to answer them on the slide itself. So Sakshi, you may go ahead and start the session.
Okay, thank you, Vishal. Hi everyone, I'm Sakshi Bhargav, and today we will be having an overview of how deep learning is involved in image captioning. And first of all, I would like to tell you about me. I've already told my name. I'm Sakshi Bhargav, employed at Ericsson, and I'm pursuing my artificial intelligence PG program from Selstrat. And this is my second AI internship project. So the first one was on movie recommendation, and this one is on image captioning. I have also attached my profile if just in case you want to check for some other details about me. Moving further, so the session overview will be like this. We are going to start with understanding about the problem of image captioning. Okay, we will be understanding it in a very layman terms first, and then we'll be going in depth. I'll be talking about what is that, why is it a very popular problem in market area, that is what is the motivation behind this project. Also, I always cover a pipeline that I follow superficially. So I'll be discussing about what machine learning pipelines I follow, then coming to data collection, which is a very important part in any project. So I'll be discussing where I've collected data from and what are the other internet sources from where you can collect the data. Also, I'll be describing the data sets I've collected, how are they divided, and what is it, how have I used everything about that. I'll be explaining captioning model here. Now, what I mean by captioning model is like how I have choose deep learning concepts for this. Then I'll be discussing about the basic definition of transfer learning. I'll be discussing about a very basic uh, definition of what automate feature engineering is. We'll be telling you about bottleneck features, batch processing, data generators, word embedding. Then we'll be discussing about model architecture. Finally, what hyperparameters I've taken and what I have chosen, why I have chosen. And finally, after all this, when I'll be covering all the concepts in a very basic manner, I'll be explaining my code demo, which will help you understand why I have used what. And for the understanding of the whole webinar, you there are some prerequisites. That is, you need to know some particular concepts related to it, like you need to know the deep learning concepts, you need to know about multi-layer perceptrons, convolutional neural network, recurrent neural network, and the concepts I've discussed. So I'll be covering them, I'll be helping you recapitulate each one of them, but the details of it you should know to understand what I have used. Okay. So before I start with what image captioning is, I would like you to tell me that what do you see in this image, or how will you like to caption this image? You can drop me text or anything, two or three captions will be entertaining.
Cat dogs. Any others? Depressed dogs.
Okay,
Dogs.
okay, fine. So if I try captioning this image, I would say there are three dogs in a garden. or I can give it another caption of that the three dogs are sitting on a wood or something. So whatever I say is correct, and definitely all the captions, like you said, that these are dogs and everything. So we are able to see and identify what this image talks about. So definitely all these captions are relevant for this image, and there may be some others also. But the point is, I want to say, like, every human being can have a glance at a picture and describe in their appropriate language what is this image about. Even if I ask a 5-year-old child, he or she can tell that this is a dog with which is in a garden, there is a grass and etc. But now the question we have is, we can define it well, but how can you ask your computer to identify, or how can you give the input to the computer as image and ask it for captioning? So this is the problem we are going to talk about. So just for your information, according to the recent development in deep neural networks, before that, this problem was unconceivable. But as the advancements were done in computer vision and deep learning, this problem got solved through some concepts of deep learning. So what am I going to do when I'm telling computers to caption my image? Like I have this diagram on my screen where I'm telling that I'm giving few pictures to the computer where there is a car. So what I'm doing is I'm telling my computer that these are the features of a car, and when I'm giving multiple other pictures like truck, bicycle, car, it is able to sense that this is a car through the features that it has learned. So for this, I always have to convert my image into certain number for computers to understand. Okay, because no computer can only understand numbers or vectors of the image if I talk about. So we have to convert this into images. This is the problem statement for our webinar. So the purpose of this webinar will be to explain that how deep learning can be used to solve the problem for generating a caption for a given image. Okay. So what image captioning is? It is a multi-model technique which involves convolutional and recurrent neural network. I'll be discussing in detail what convolutional and recurrent neural networks do in solving the problem of image captioning. And the purpose of this webinar is to explain how deep learning is used, okay? And because we are trying to caption images in this particular webinar, this problem statement is for image captioning. Moving to the motivation part. So first of all, we must understand that how important this problem is for the real world. So I've taken a few examples which are already in the market. Okay, the first one is Aid to the Blind. Now, what are we doing here is we can create a product for blind which will guide them traveling on the roads without the support of anyone else. So what our product will be doing is it can convert the scene into text and then the text into voice, so that the blinds can understand that okay, I have to take this path, or what is in front of them which they cannot see. Second is self-driving cars. So the automatic driving is one of the biggest challenge, and if we can properly caption the scene around the car, it can boost the self-driving system mechanism. So this will be a great help when I say I'll be captioning whatever I see through my car. Okay. Then coming to automatic captioning or Google image search. So just in case automatic captioning is used in Google image search, it can make it as good as the Google search. As as then every image could be first converted into a caption, and then search can be performed based on the caption. And the final one is CCTV cameras. So all of us know that how important CCTV cameras are now. So, but along with viewing the world, if it can also start generating relevant captions for us, and then according to the captions can raise alarms. This can help to identify malicious activities if there is somewhere going. Okay, This could probably help us reducing crime or accidents in such cases. So I was talking about the machine learning pipeline. The machine learning pipeline superficially has three major steps, that is data extraction and cleaning, building ML model, building software architecture. Okay. So for extraction and cleaning, first of all, I've extracted the data from different sites. I'll be telling about them. And then I've done the cleaning by Python. You can also use Selenium. Then I have built ML model. ML model can be built through scikit-learn, TensorFlow, Azure ML. And final step is to build a software architecture, that is through JavaScript or like GitHub or Amazon Web Services. I have not included the final step in my project. I've already worked on build to build the ML model, but the final step is still on process. So coming to data collection, there are many open source data sets that are available on internet. You may find Flickr 8K, you may find Flickr 30K, and you may find MS Coco, and many more. So, but for the purpose of this case study, I have used Flickr 8K, which has 8,000 images in it, which you can easily download from internet. Okay. Also, the training model, if I choose 30 or this, the training model will be very large, and it will not be feasible for my system to go to run such a high end program. So that is why I've used 8K. How is my data set divided? My data set has 8,000 images, and each has each image has 5 captions. So the images are bifurcated on the basis of training set, dev set, and test set. The training set is 6,000 images, and both of them are 1,000. Now I am going to explain what images are.
So there is a question, Sakshi.
Yes.
What is the use of Selenium in data extraction and cleaning?
Selenium is basically used for, like, how it is used. You'll have to learn different. See, I have done it by robot framework also. The robot framework is like you can extract image, like any data from the website or any server very easily through Selenium. So it may use Python in it, but the Selenium is another tool for extracting data through websites and everything. I've just worked on the initials, and basically I work on Python but not Selenium, but I've worked on initials. So you need to install different frameworks for that, and then the Selenium can be incorporated with those frameworks, and using that you may extract data from different websites and different portals.
Got it. Another question is coming.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. So when I'm talking about images, so images are input X, which I'll be giving to my model. For my case, I'll be giving images as input. And as known that any input to a model must be given in the form of vector when we are talking about computers or machines. Hence, we need to convert every image to a fixed size vector, which can then fed as input to neural network. And for that, I have used transfer learning. Okay. So what you can see in this diagram is there is a training. I have trained my model with few images. There is a cat, there is a dog, and there is a honey wogger. And what I've done, the layers are being created, and I have taught my model that these are the features of dog, these are the features of cat and other animals. It takes errors and feedback to the layers and helps them acknowledge that these are the errors. And finally, when I train, once I've done that, when I deploy another image, what happens is it is able to find this is the dog through the images, the features I have given in the previous model I have trained. Okay, so this is how I'm going to address my project. And for converting it into a fixed vector sizes, I have used transfer learning, which I'll be discussing in further slides. Coming to what captioning model is, I have used two basic concepts of deep learning, that is CNN, that is convolutional neural network, and RNN, recurrent neural network. So captioning is about merging two images or two different things and combining it to form a product out of it. Okay. So what CNN does is CNN is helping my system to recognize objects or images what I have given. So it recognizes all the objects that are in my images. And what RNN does is it works with any kind of sequential data. It basically works on sequence of words. So when I talk about CNN, CNN is a class of deep feed-forward artificial neural network, which is mostly commonly applied to analyzing visual images. So CNN uses a variation of multi-layer perceptrons designed to require minimal processing. Okay, so all the images are being identified using CNN, and CNN is acting as a feature extractor here. So that will compress the information in original image into smaller representations. It will encode everything my image has, and RNN will be responsible for decoding it. Okay. And what RNN is also a class of artificial neural network where connections between nodes form direct graph, and it forms a sequence of every word, or it can help us predicting the sequence. So there are different types of RNN also. There is a simple RNN, LSTM, and GRU. So I have used LSTM. It is a slower version, and but it basically helps support selectively and keeping the data uh, together. That is why I have used LSTM as my RNN. Finally, what will happen is with CNN and RNN, I'll be able to merge two data, that is image, and I'll be able to generate caption out of it from my model. It will be patterning each and every image with the caption that is already in my data set, and will be able to generate the sequence of data sets according to new images that I'll be adding to it. We'll see it in detail when I'll be discussing the program. Now, what is transfer learning? If I say I am training my model, so this is what I've discussed earlier, that I give images, I make my model learn the features, and finally it recognizes that this is a car. But when I talk about transfer learning, I've already added a pre-trained convolutional neural network. That is, I've already trained my model that these are the features. I need not train it now. And if I give a new task, like I have given data of Maruti Suzuki and basic models of car, and I ask for a racing car, it will still be able to identify that this is a car. Okay. So what I've written here is transfer learning is a machine learning technique where a model trained on one task is repurposed on a second related task. Transfer learning is an optimization that allows rapid progress or improved performance when modeling the second task. So if an entirely new task comes into picture, it will be easily recognizing that this is something which I've already read as a car. Okay. Talking about what automated feature engineering is. So first of all, we would discuss what feature engineering is. So as all of us know that feature engineering is a process that helps data to transform existing features or to create new variables from existing ones. So data in it is in raw format always, and to make it to use it in ML algos, we have to do some feature engineering. And what automatic feature engineering means, as the name suggests, we are automating the process of feature engineering. So it will help data scientists save time and help working on very complex business models, will help reshaping and regrouping data very easily. So there is a model called Data Robot which helps automate the automatic feature engineering process. Okay, so this will help automatically generating the feature engineering part for our model, and finally we will be directly using our using our data into the ML algorithms or deep learning algorithms. Now, what bottleneck features are? Bottleneck features are basically a type of, uh, they are a part of a transfer learning. Okay. So what it says is like there are some features, every data set has some features in it. So if we extract features and give those features to another smaller layer of neural network, then those extracted features act as bottleneck features because we have extracted those features from already training model. What we are doing is, you can see here, to do transfer learning, you will remove the last fully connected layer from the model and plug in your layer and other layers. And the truncated model which is created is known as bottleneck features. So in simpler words, what is happening is, the transfer learning model is created from which we are extracting certain features and giving it to a last fully connected layer, which will plug into the system and then help creating new features related to that particular model. When I talk about batch processing, it is a as the name suggests, it is an effective way of processing high volumes of data, okay, in the form of batches. So data is collected, it is entered, it is processed in the form of batches, and on the basis of those batches only, we generate our results. So we take a batch of it, we process it, then we take a batch of it, and then process it. So in memory also, the batches get addressed, not a single data set gets addressed. Okay, so it is considered, the every data point is considered as a batch now because we are taking all the data points in a batch and then processing them. Data generators, this is very important for our project. That is, you can see here there are two images here, and with the help of these two images we are able to extract a altogether different image. This is generating a new image. So with the data which was already given to us, we have generated altogether a new image. So data pipelines are the most important part of any machine learning or deep learning process. Efficient data pipeline should allow to use multi processing, should create batches, should do the data augmentation, should have a neat code, and finally the Keras has data generator class, which is we are using here, image data generator class in our project. I'll be showing them in my code. Now, the word embeddings are it is a very simple concept, and if we don't go in detail, it is just a definition of word which is getting converted into vector representation. So we are converting each and every word into a vector. Okay, so this will help our computer to understand what word is given what number and will be able to process it faster. So the model architecture I have is, I have two inputs in my data set. That is, I am having my image vectors, and I am having partial captions, not the exact captions for each image. I told that there are 8,000 images and every image has five captions. So there are partial captions, they're not exact captions. So I give these captions to RNN so that it can understand and create a sequence of it. And image vector and all of this is given to feed forward network, okay, which is ending with the softmax layer in convolution neural network. And this will help us predict what is the next caption according to the image data that we are given. I've also told you about hyperparameters. So hyperparameters are something that data scientists themselves decide what to give. So we have three hyperparameters in our model, that is epoch, initial learning rate, and batch. So epoch is like epoch is defined as a single pass through your entire training set. So one cycle that it completes is an epoch, and the initial learning rate is the amount that the weights are updated during training. that is known as, or a step size, not, if not weights, you can call it a step size. It is also known as learning rate. So we keep a learning rate, we keep a epoch, and I've already told you about batches. So we can create a
Another
mini batch.
question,
Yes.
another question, Sakshi. So why there is a new image generated altogether?
Sorry, your voice is not clear.
I'm saying why there is a new image generated altogether?
There is no new image generated. Where are you talking about? Like in particular slide or something? We are not going to generate a new image. We are using a new set, new, like I have trained on dogs and cats, and if I give, like I have trained on puppies, for example, and I give a German Shepherd as a picture, so it will be able to recognize it. This is what I'm saying. It is not a new image entirely. It is a new set of image that I'm giving as input.
So it was in data pipeline slide where you said probably where new image generated altogether.
Data pipeline. This one.
Sorry, data generator.
Okay. Okay. This is what I'm giving example about. So what I'm saying is I'm giving two images and there is a class which is able in Keras which is able to generate a new image through the help of these two. So it merges the pixels of both of them and generates a new image. So I was just giving the example that this is the process of data generator. So data generators work in this particular domain. They can take a few inputs and generate something entirely new. This is what I was saying.
So it is just data augmentation. It's what you're saying, not
Yeah,
the
sort of.
generating new image. Yeah. Okay.
It merges the pixels of both of them and is able to generate, after merging, it basically augments and generates a new image.
Okay.
Okay, so let's just move to code demo now. I'll be starting because I have worked on Google Cloud directly. So I have collected data from Kaggle and I have unzipped the data. So these are the commands for that. Also, I would like to tell you that our the Flickr data set has both, as I've told, images as well as we have the captions, partial captions. So what I'm doing here is, uh, just a minute. Okay, so let's just start with the libraries first. So pandas, I've used pandas, I've used NumPy, which is a very common one, matplotlib, keras, request, NLTK, corpus. So this corpus stop words, what will it do? It will collect the stop words for English language. Okay, so it will find English language words and stop and act as a stop word for them. So it will get a set of English languages for us. Then I've used string, I've used JSON, I've used time, I've used pickle. What pickle does is it helps storing different data types for like Python data types like lists, okay, arrays and strings and helps in serializing them. Now I have used VGG16 as in Keras, which is a pre-trained model for CNN, convolutional neural network. So this is already trained. Already told you about I'm using transfer learning. So I need some pre-trained model which already knows that the features of cats, dogs are already there in it, and I'm directly using them. Then also I've used ResNet 50, which is again a pre-trained model for RNN. Okay. I'm using pre-processing for image. I'm using keras.utils for categorical division, and everything else is for merging, then dropouts. And this one LSTM I'm using for RNN. I told that I'm using LSTM as an RNN model. Now what I'm
The
doing is,
question,
yes,
the question is, set of data, how it will decide which data are to be combined to generate new set.
I'm going to discuss about that in detail in my code.
Sure.
Now, before I start with the code part, I would like you to understand the data first. So if we download the data from the internet, what happens is you will also get some text file related to the images. Okay. So I have taken this text file here. If you can see Flickr text data token.txt. So what does this file mean? It contains the name of each image along with its five captions. Okay, the five captions I was talking about. The captions are in this, and the images are separate. Okay, so I am opening it and reading it. Okay, so I find that the length of my caption is 40,460, and every image and every caption is separated. So I have printed the five captions according to this, and you can see there are some, this is the image name in JPG. Then there are certain special characters, or there is a difference in the image and the caption part. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to work on this. We have to first of all clean the data and then process it. So what happens is, next, I am creating a dictionary which is named as description. If you can see, this is description dictionary, which I'm creating, which contains the name of the image in JPG. Okay, so all the images are enclosed in this dictionary, and as keys, I am giving the list of five captions that it has. So I write descriptions, the image name. I've taken it from here, and I see there are five captions for it. Okay, so this is what my file has. Now what I have to do is I have to clean everything what I have seen. So when we deal with the text, we generally perform some basic cleaning like lowercase to uppercase. Like if I write hello, where H is small and E is small and everything is in lowercase, and I have another hello where I have H in caps and others are small, it will treat it differently. So what I want to do, I don't want it to treat it differently. I want it to treat it as one English word. And I also want to remove every special token, that is hash or percentage or dollar sign or whatever. So I'll be eliminating all the numbers and everything, and I'll be creating a caption which is just made up of English alphabets. Okay. So if you can see, I have created this, and I have seen this. This is my caption. So it has many different symbols and numbers, etc. So what I did is I've cleaned my text, I've created a function for it, and I've cleaned my text, and the function is able to find only images like this, the alphabets of English in it. Now once we're done with this, what we do is we are modifying these captions and clean library. Again, checking it if the captions still have some certain special characters or numbers, and now I am finding it that there is no certain problem in my captions. So what I do, I have cleaned my text altogether and I have saved it in description.txt, which you can see here. I'm writing it in description.txt. Again, I'm reading description.txt so that I want to check that if my captions are okay now. So I see there is one image and I have five captions and they have no special characters or numbers in them. So I've cleaned my caption part, and every image is associated with five captions. Okay. So once I'm done with this, I want to create a vocabulary for all the unique words. So I told you that there are 8,000 words and each captions, and each 8,000 captions, uh, there are 5 captions for each 8,000 images. So in total, there are 40,000 image captions. Okay, so I have to create a vocabulary for it. So I'm creating a set function for vocabulary, and I'm checking what size my vocabulary has now. So it is 8,424. Okay, so this means this many unique words are there in 40,000 image captions. So we write it again in description.txt to save them. Okay, onto the disk. Done with this part. Now I what I'm doing is I'm checking all the words in description dictionary here. However, if we think about it, many of these words will occur very few times. Some words may occur one time, two times, three times. But what we want to do is we want to create a vocabulary which will have at least 10 times the word is occurring in entire copy. So what we have to do is we have to set the threshold for it. So I'm setting the threshold as 10. Like what I'm doing here is the words that are at least 10 times in my caption that will be getting added to my vocabulary. So once I've done this, see the vocabulary size here is this much. Once I have set my threshold, that is I am setting the count for my frequency and I'm checking. So it gets reduced to, my vocabulary gets reduced to 1845. Okay. Now, because what we are going to do is we are going to set the indexes for each one of them. So what we see, we have trained the images and trained the .txt file now through captions. So what we are doing is we are setting a training and testing set now. So what I did is I have opened this file. This is txt file. Okay, and I'm reading it. After reading that, I am training my model for these captions. Okay. Once I've trained them, I am also going to train it for images. So it has images and captions included. Now I am creating test image file. Now test image file is again a text because the captions that will be created has to be stored somewhere. Okay. So we have in test, I told that we have 1,000 sets, and for training we have 66,000 sets. Okay, so we are creating a test image file and we are checking if everything is there. The test image file is then created. These are the images that are already in the test file. Now what I'm doing is I am creating train description dictionary. Training has different dictionary and testing has different dictionary. So for that, now we load the description of the images from description.txt, okay, which was saved on the hard disk, and now we are turning it to train.descriptions dictionary. Okay, Python dictionary has been created. However, when we load them, we will add two tokens. That is, you can see start sequence and end sequence. So what my caption will look like is there will be a start sequence, then there will be a caption, and then there will be an end sequence. Okay. So I see there is a start sequence, then there is a caption, and there is an end sequence in my file. Okay. So what will this do? Start sequence will tell that my caption has started, and end sequence will identify that the caption has already ended. Okay. Now I talk about images, and now I have to do pre-processing of my system. So I've already told what ResNet 50 does. It has already all the information for the images. That is, it is a pre-trained model. I'm checking the summary of it here. Again, images, as I've told, are nothing but input to our model. And as you may already know that any input to the model has to be created into the vectors. That is why I'm using transfer learning here. So the ResNet is a model of transfer learning, which already is a pre-trained model. This model was trained on the image data set, that is 1,000 different classes of images. Okay, and everything has been automatically feature engineered for this. Okay, now what are we going to do is we are going to collect bottleneck features from the trained model. That is, we are going to remove the last layer and then we are going to add a new layer to it. So I have removed the last layer. Okay, we are creating a model by removing the last layer from 1,000 classes. Okay, so the model summary is again checked. Now what I have to do is I have to pre-process my images. I'm converting my images into arrays. Basically, I'm converting them into matrices. Okay, so I've converted them into arrays. Then I've done their dimensioning and everything and converting into matrices.
Another question is there, Saki.
Yes.
What is the use of vocabulary for captioning?
I am setting my vocabulary so that I can have like words that are they are occurring 10 times, at least 10 times in my captions. Okay, so I'm checking all of them in the dictionary and I'm collecting them into a vocabulary.
Okay.
Okay, so moving to this encoding frame. So I told you that CNN will be responsible for encoding and RNN will be responsible for decoding the images. Okay, so what I am doing here is I am encoding my images and these are the encoding images. So they have basically given a number to it. Okay, so each image is given a number and I have saved the training features to my disk. Now the encoding test images are generated. Okay, so these are the test images. I'm encoding them also. So encoding of these are also done. And finally, I'm loading the train images and I'm seeing what is the encoding type and everything from the disk. Now, what I have to do the next is, which is very important, I have to data process my captions. So how will I do that? For data processing my captions, we must note that the captions are something that we want to predict. Okay. So during the training period, captions will be the target variables for our model. But the prediction of the entire caption given the image does not happen at once. We will be predicting the captions word by word. So one word is generated, then RNN is going to generate another word based on the sequence it will be following. Okay. So we will be needing two basic things, that is word to index and index to word. So we have two relations there. We are converting a word to index and we are also finding if that index is able to generate a word or not. Okay. So like I have taken here word to index above. So this has index number 225 and when I give 225 it is again generating my word. So this model is working for me. Okay. I'm checking the length which is 1845. Again, I need to add start sequence and end sequence as index. Now, no word is understood by our computers. Okay, so I have to convert start sequence and end sequence also into the indexes. So I've done that. Once I have done that, it will be creating the sequence like that only. So the first index of start sequence will be there, then the caption, and then finally we'll be having what we'll be having the end sequence index. What I'm checking is now I'm checking the vocabulary size. So it is 1848. Okay. Now next what I'm going to do is I am again creating a list of everything and I am storing the maximum length of each one of them. Okay. Then I am using data generator because the captions has to be generated through images. I need data generator. So what as I've shown in the earlier slide that there are two images and this will be able to create a third one. So I am giving image and this has to create sequence of words which will be able to find what exact caption to be given. Okay. So What data generator does is it is a very important step in our case study. So this will help us understand what image is, understanding each and every concept of it, the indexes and everything, and it will be creating all the matrix tables for each one of the image. Okay, so I am creating a sequence from word to index and index to word, adding zero padding to it also because I need to start my index from zero. Okay, so once I've done that, it will start the batch processing part of it. Also, it will take every caption as a batch. Okay, so the matrices that are generated will be able to create the batches. So the question here is, what is the need for data generator? It will give a good sense to prepare the data set problem. So this is a huge data set, and for understanding and creating the captions, we need data generator. Okay, so this will help us create the captions according to indexes and words based on the images which we'll be showing, which I'll be showing you in the end. Okay. Now the next point is embedding index. So I'm again creating a dictionary for embedding. That is, I am creating a vector for my the words that are created. Okay. So I'm converting every word into a vector, and this you can see here how embedding is done. Now I'm checking the shape of it. It is 1848 and 50. The final step will be to define our model. I've already told we have two things, that is we have images and we have partial captions. So we are using here to extract now. So features are being extracted through CNN. Now what we are going to do is we are going to decode everything. So every image that we see, the objects are identified, the features are extracted from CNN, and now RNN will be decoding each and every image. So I have used decoder, image decoder. Okay, so decoder has been used here for this. Now I'm seeing the model summary. If Okay, so the hyperparameters I was talking about was epochs. Okay, number picks per bath, how many batches has to be taken. Okay, now steps, what steps to be taken. So epochs I've already explained. I have also explained batch processes and step size. So step size is also learning rate. Okay, so these are the epochs which are created. This will take at least 1 to 2 hours to run. Finally, what happens is I am giving now what I'm doing, I'm creating a function for predicting captions. So the photo I'm giving, and this will be converting the word into index and index into words, and after everything it will be able to convert it into the final caption that you can see I've done, and it will be splitted, and I've maintained all the ratio of it. Okay, so I'm doing it for first 20 images. So this is the first image. Here the image, the caption is two men in red and white uniforms are playing softball. Okay. The second image is this, this one, the mountains and a man sitting on it. So it says man stands on a snowy mountain top. Then it says two dogs are walking. Okay, it does, there are sometimes mistakes. So it is only able to get the features of two dogs. So that is why it is saying two dogs are walking on the sand. Okay, the person in the blue short is jumping in the air, and the 20 images are being captioned through this model. So these are the 20 images that are captioned using the model I have created. I can increase them depending upon my requirement, and I've done that. So this was all about the demo of the code. Finally, I would like to thank you for giving your precious time to this webinar. I hope you have learned something new today, or it was helpful for you.
Thank you, Sakshi. So can you please share your contact details as well as your GitHub repository address for the audience to connect with you if required? Already
Sure.
some people are asking for it.
Okay, I am sharing it.
And any other questions, audience? You can go to that slide, possibly your contact slide.
Sorry?
You can go to your first slide, the introduction slide, which had your contact details. Next one. Go to next slide, your introduction slide where your picture is there.
Yeah, I'm going there.
Yeah, so yeah. So audience, you can contact on these credentials, and I believe all the code that you have shown is on your GitHub.
Yeah, everything is there.
Right. So some questions are coming. What happens if your caption in training did not have the name of the objects that might come in your test data or a new image that you input?
Can you please send me the question because your voice is
Sure.
breaking?
Sure. Please check.
Okay, I got it. What happens if your caption in training did not have the name of the object that might come in your test data or a new image? So the answer of this is that is why I'm using two pre-trained models, that is VGG16 and ResNet 50. So they are already trained and they have all the features of the object. Basically, whatever an image can have, it has those. So this will help the model to understand what objects. I don't give objects or I don't give each and every feature of the object. There are already pre-trained models which you can directly use to find the image caption.
Okay, other question is there. Please check.
How much time it takes for inference per image based on your ResNet and LSTM model. So for running everything that I've done, it took me 3 to 4 hours honestly. So for each image, I don't know, per image you can check it on internet, but for all the 20 images and everything for running epochs and everything for this, it took me 3 to 4 hours.
Okay, one ma'am is asking for your next slide on content. Can you go to next slide? I think your index page.
Which one?
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions, audience? So I don't see other questions coming in. So we would like to close it here. Thank you, Sakshi, for the great presentation. I have already shared the link where everybody will be able to see the video in 2 to 3 days time. And so we have our next session, I think next week, right?
Yeah, 22.
Right, right. So thank you all for attending and have a good day ahead.
Thank you so much.